the Military History Chronicles, coming to you live here on this Tuesday evening. Just got done doing some Giant Sports Talk Live, and back here talking some Military History Chronicles. It's going to be a little bit interesting today, guys. There's been a lot of news out there, specifically on what's coming out of the second term of Trump's presidency. Little bit, some things I agree with, some things not so much. It's been a little bit. One thing he is definitely doing, he's biting off quite a bit. I think that's an understatement. What's up, Aaron? Hey, good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Again, this should be an interesting conversation that we're going to have tonight. I don't know. What's up, Mo? The biggest thing today, there was actually a couple of things that were announced today. And some other minor, I don't know if you want to call them minor or not, but the biggest thing is President Trump signed an executive order talking about putting maximum pressure on Iran. We'll read some articles here talking about that, and then we'll also get into the statements that he had later in the evening when he was talking with the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about Gaza and what he wants to do with Gaza. Little bit weird. A little bit weird. I'm not quite understanding where he's going with this. It raises some questions. And there's some also things that I want to talk about, with Ukraine and how he wants to keep supplying Ukraine. But there's going to be caveats, supposedly. So we'll see what's up. What's up, Graham? I hope he has actually checked with his intel. Yeah. I get what you're saying. All right, let's get right into it. First article I'm going to bring up here is out of Fox News. Again, this was earlier today. Trump reinstates maximum pressure campaign against Iran. It's not really about the Treasury Department, but we'll get into this. President Donald Trump unveiled an executive order reinstating a maximum pressure campaign against Iran on Tuesday, coinciding with the visit from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House. Trump voiced that he was torn about signing the order and admitted he was unhappy to do it, noting that the executive order was very tough on Iran. Hopefully, we're not going to have to use it very much, Trump told reporters on Tuesday. Trump later told reporters in a joint press conference with Netanyahu that he believes Iran is close to developing a nuclear weapon, that the U.S. would stop a strong Tehran from attaining one. They're very tough. They're very strong right now, and we're not going to let them get a nuclear weapon, Trump said. The order instructs the Treasury Department to execute maximum economic pressure upon Iran through a series of sanctions aimed at sinking Iran's oil exports. His first administration also adopted a maximum pressure initiative against Tehran, issuing greater sanctions and a harsher enforcement for violations. Lawmakers are also interested in exerting more pressure on Iran. For example, Senators Lindsey Graham and John Fetterman, along with lawmakers in the House, introduced a resolution on Thursday that affirms that all options should remain on the table in dealing with Iran's nuclear threat. All options. Graham said in a statement Thursday that should Iran attain a nuclear weapon, it should prove one of the most destabilizing and dangerous events in world history. Additionally, Graham said ahead of Netanyahu's visit that the moment is right to eliminate Iran's nuclear threat now, and the U.S. should back Israel if it chooses to decimate Iran's nuclear program. Israel is strong. Iran is weak. Hezbollah and Hamas have been decimated, Graham said in an interview with Fox News Sunday. They're not finished off, but they've been weakened. And there's an opportunity to hit Iran nuclear program in a fashion that I haven't seen in decades. And I think it would be in the world's interest for us to decimate the Iranian nuclear threat while we can. If we don't, we will regret it later. Strict sanctions were reimposed upon Iran after Trump's withdrawal from the Iran deal, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, in May of 2018. The 2015 agreement, brokered under the Obama administration, had lifted sanctions on Iran in exchange for limits on Iran's nuclear program. Meanwhile, Trump signaled in January some optimism about securing a nuclear deal with Iran and asked if he back to Israel striking Iran's nuclear facilities. We'll have to see. I'm going to be meeting with various peoples over the next couple of days, Trump told reporters back on January 24th. We'll see, but hopefully that could be worked out without having to worry about it. Iran hopefully will make a deal. I mean, they don't make a deal, I guess that's okay too, Trump said. And then they pulled out of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. There you go. There you go. What's up, Richard? Right on. Hey, appreciate it, man. Okay. A couple of things here. I understand you're going to have to put pressure on Iran. You have to. You have to put pressure on Iran. You cannot afford, and I agree to a certain extent with what Senator Graham says. You can't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon in that region because it can make things get a little bit weird. Just a tad bit weird. Hey, what's up, Glenn? I see him out there. So yes, I agree with that. We need to put more pressure on Iran. I agree with that. And I guess, and what I'm guessing is it's going to be a coordinated effort between the United States and Israel. That's my thought on what's going to happen. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that their nuclear program is going to get hit. Look, is Iran going to sit there and just give up? I don't think so. I just don't see that happening. Again, that just makes things a little bit more difficult for Israel and the United States as far as, what type of action they want to take. Because, again, you got some big players at play here. What's up, Progate? Damon, I hear you. I hear you. Progate, I hear you. You got a more powerful China. China relies on Iran for its oil. So you're not just because you're going to sit there and make these declarations that you're going to go after the exports of Iranian oil, you got to be careful who you're going to be affecting with this oil. You're not going to affect Russia for the most part because they generate their own fossil fuels. But China is a big importer of Iranian oil. So if you don't think that China is going to have a little say in this, you guys are going to be sadly mistaken. They are the big kids on the block, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting how the United States are going to be able to navigate that little part of the equation. I don't know. It's going to be weird. It's going to be really weird. That's what I'm talking about, Graham. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because it's really nice to come out and say India gets a lot too. Yes, they do, Farrell. Yes, they do. India gets quite a bit of oil, and if I'm not mistaken, I think India also gets oil from Russia as well, if I'm not mistaken. So again, it's not just going after their nuclear program per se, but if you're going to hit their economics, which I understand that may be something that they try to do, you could be unraveling something that you may not want to unravel. It's not going to be easy. It sounds great, and I'm all for. Hey, you want to go knock out their nuclear program? That's fine. But when you start affecting the export of oil, and I understand you got to be able to do something to make the Iranians change course, but I just don't think that does it. I think you wind up pissing off other people that you may not want to piss off at this particular time. Again, this is something that Trump does a lot. He talks about deals. He talks about how he's a master negotiator. He can negotiate anything. It's all about deals with him. That's what he says. But what actually happens is sometimes it doesn't line up sometimes. I'm a little concerned as what's going to happen here. To piggyback on this a little bit, we just got through some saber rattling. I call it saber rattling, but you're saber rattling with the almighty dollar. All right. With the stupid tariff stuff. Oh my God. I'm going to just briefly touch on this. The whole tariff thing. And again, it goes along the line with how Trump negotiates. It's not really a negotiation. It's weird. I don't get it. He slaps tariffs, right? You guys, it's been all in the news, right? They slap tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. The China tariff's still there. but it's been suspended with Canada and Mexico. Even though it's funny, he suspended the tariffs against Mexico, even though he didn't even talk to the Mexican leader. He talked to Trudeau and was able to get some things hashed out, but there was no talk with the Mexican leader. But yeah, he still lifted those tariffs, which is a little bit weird. And look, I get it. You're trying to bring people to the table. I get it. But why don't you do that before you have a natural progression here? Actually communicate with these people. Tell them, whether it's Trudeau or the Mexican leader. I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I don't want to butcher it. Hey, this is what we want. All right. This is the issue that's at hand, and let's talk about it. Otherwise, I may have to take a different course of action. You just don't sit here and you come out and just automatically just level tariffs for no reason. And again, you're leveling tariffs against friends and allies. Canada is a NATO member, right? Mexico is an ally. Both of them sitting on the north and the south and southern border, right? Well, we all know this, a little geography there, right? So what are you doing here? Why are you trying to penalize friends and allies rather than talking this out? If you want to be firm with China, okay, I get it. I don't think tariffs are the way to go because the American people wind up paying for it. Everyone knows that. You know, you cannot resort to isolationist and protectionist type policies in this world, right? You can't. You got to have more friends today than you ever had, because you got China across the way that are getting ready to do something. Don't know when, but it's going to happen. It's 100% going to happen. And if you start pissing off your friends when the fat hits the fire, you better hope you got friends in your corner, because it's not going to be pretty. Additionally, he just negotiated a trade deal, right? You have just negotiated a trade deal with both Canada and Mexico back in, 2018? I think it got signed in 2020, somewhere around there. The USMA or something like that, right? The USMA Pact or something like that. And it's like, he kind of flip-flopped. First, he said it had to do with fentanyl and the border protection. Okay, I get it. But there's other ways you could do that without having to level tariffs. Then he started talking about the trade, the trade between countries isn't fair. But he's the one that helped push through the new trade deal between both of those countries. And it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not understanding what President Trump is trying to do in that regard. I just don't like it. There's a different way you could go about this. Again, this is kind of what I'm talking about here. It's where are we going here? Okay, so you're talking about tariffs, and again, the tariffs did not stop at Mexico, Canada, and China. He's also talking about leveling tariffs against the United Kingdom. He's talking about leveling tariffs against the European Union. So I don't know exactly what's going on here. So and it makes no sense. So he wants to be isolationist, but the United States are nowhere near the ability to sustain that. If you're manufacturing a lot of your goods within your own country, okay, that makes sense. You're secure. You're manufacturing, you're growing your own food, you're creating your own energy, right? If you got all that working, hey, it's good to go. But the United States is not in that position, right? How much of the manufacturing is done in the United States compared to China, right? Same thing with Mexico and to a certain extent Canada. You are more linked to these countries for manufacturing than you could do with your own self. And it's not going to work. If you want to be isolationist, you better damn well have the means within your own country to be able to sustain yourself. Otherwise, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. It's not adding up. And additionally, let's get into the Gaza thing. He's announced today that he wants to whatever. Let's just get into the article. This one's from CNN, guys. Trump said doesn't rule out using American troops. States will take over the Gaza Strip, possibly with the help of American troops, while the Palestinians who live there should leave. A stunning proposal that would dramatically reorient the Middle East and subject a population of more than 1 million to further displacement. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too, Trump said during a joint press conference alongside his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu, later describing his vision of the area as a new Riviera. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. Level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, he said. Asked whether he is willing to send troops to fill a security vacuum in Gaza, Trump did not rule it out. As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. Trump's comments are we're going to take over that piece, that we're going to develop it. Trump's comments are a remarkable assertion from a sitting American president, particularly one who has rose to political power in the United States through his criticism of America's longest wars in the Middle East and pledges to return U.S. investments back to its citizens. They open a host of questions about how Trump's land grab would proceed, what its legal authorities would be, who would pay for it. I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. Trump told reporters in the East Room of the White House. He later said, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land. Developing and creating thousands of jobs is something that will be magnificent. There will be many in the region who oppose Trump's plan, despite his claim that all of his interlocutors love it. Already, Egypt and Jordan have rejected the notion of accepting additional Palestinian refugees. Wary of destabilization and fearful they will never be allowed back home. By the way, to Saudi Arabia, they've also said it's a no-go. Yeah, you don't want to piss off the Saudis. Trump suggested that was exactly what he envisioned, a future Gaza that largely does not involve Palestinians. I don't think people should be going back to Gaza, Trump said in Oval Office earlier in the day. I heard that Gaza has been very unlucky for them. They live like hell. They live like they're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. And the only reason they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is because they have no alternative. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. Former real estate developer said during his press conference, studied closely over a lot of months. I mean, they're there because they have no alternative. What do they have? It's a big pile of rubble right now. Trump suggesting that Gazans leave the Strip permanently amounts to a provocative stance that will endear him to Israel's most conservative politicians, but is generally a non-starter for Israel's neighbors, who have said they are unwilling to accept the new Palestinian refugees from the enclave. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. Because it's their home, said the reporter. Netanyahu, sitting alongside Trump in the Oval Office, smiled as Trump was speaking. The Israeli leader, under conflicting pressures domestically, was in Washington to ascertain exactly where Trump stands on the next phase. Two Arab officials expressed puzzlement, concern, and pessimism in the immediate wake of Trump's unexpected remarks. Oh, okay, I've read enough. This does not make any sense, guys. This does not make any sense. I'm not understanding this, guys. Yeah. President Trump, for the longest time, has talked about he is anti-war, right? Anti-war. But yet he wants to place American troops in one of the most dangerous locations on this earth. For what reason? To make some dough, right? You don't want. He was on record of not ending the Ukrainian-Russian war, but yet then now he wants to dip his toes in taking over Gaza. And before that, there was talk out there, him talking about Greenland, talking about, and I see Roundtable talking about making Canada the 51st state. Now that was just all in jive. That's just Trump being Trump, right? It's a little bit weird, guys. I'm not understanding what is going on here. It's really hard to figure this one out because it's not really adding up with everything that he has said as far as foreign policy is concerned. I'm not talking about his domestic. I'm just talking about his foreign policy. He's also come out and said a way that the Ukrainians can pay for all these debts is supply us with some rare earth minerals. Hey, we'll keep supplying you. Just give us some more stuff in payment. So there's conditions. This is a little bit strange, guys. I understand you got to put pressure on Iran. I'm all for that. Get it. But this whole Gaza stuff and this tariffs and you're kind of taking your eyes off the prize to a certain extent when you're doing this. Because again, China is going to be doing something. At least Trump has plans. Look. Okay, here we go. No, Trump makes statements. It's just the way he does. That's who he is. A lot of times he'll back off what he's saying to a certain extent. But as you say, Glenn, it's a little bit different now. He doesn't have to worry about re-election. It's a little bit different. At least Trump has plans, although controversial as opposed to the previous. No, look, the Biden administration was an unmitigated disaster. It was horrendous. How we're going to recover from that is going to be difficult. But just because Trump has certain plans doesn't mean it's going to work. Let's see. Roundtable. What's up? UK has no leverage. America needs to realize its full power projection and take what it wants. These other countries can choose between the US, China, or Russia. I tell you what, Roundtable, you got to be careful about that. Because right now, let's take a look at what's going on in the Pacific. Do you think the United States Navy can compare against what China is currently doing? Look how many ships the Chinese Navy is making. I should say it's not the Chinese, it's the PLA. China is going full bore in taking over the South China Sea and the Western Pacific. And if we're not ready for that, we're going to be in a world of hurt because if China takes control of the South China Sea, they're going to control more than 50% of the shipping that comes from abroad. You got to have more friends than you do. I'm telling you, and not to mention, you have treaties, right? You got treaties with these countries, whether it's NATO, whether it's other countries, you got treaties. In other words, that's your word. And when you start going back on your word, other people are watching. Not only, and who are the other people watching? Your friends, your allies, and yes, your enemies are also watching. If you're not going to hold on to your word, guess who's going to slip in there and say, "Hey, it might be better if you come over here." And it's not going to be Russia; it's going to be China. 100% China is on the move. Imperialism failed the world over. The idea of projecting power to take what you want is 19th century failed logic. Farrell, to a certain extent, yes. You got to have. It's better to have friends than sit there and it's weird. I don't understand where this is coming from. Look, is Greenland? We'll talk about Greenland. Is Greenland strategic? Absolutely, it's strategic. But you just don't sit there and you just don't go, I'm just going to go take it over. You just don't do that. Bagram. Yeah, I see you. I'm telling you right now, the United States, before you start going out there and starting making these bold statements, so to speak, you better be ready to get going. I'm telling you, you better be ready to get going. And I'm just saying right now, what is the state of our military? I couldn't tell you. But I know our shipbuilding capacity is absolutely atrocious. China is going apeshit. How are you going to compete with that? And the funny thing is, let's talk about, threatening Europe with, hey, you got to spend more on NATO defense. And I get it. Yes, they do. But hey, how about you worry about your own self first? Because the United States hasn't exactly been spending a whole lot compared to the GDP. It's definitely been reduced. The United States have better be ready to confront China before you start telling other people what they need to prepare for. Yeah, I get what you're. Oh yeah, there, Graham. I see what you're talking about. You piss off the Danes, you will piss us off, right? I get it. There's a lot of history in Europe, guys. Much more than what's going on between the United States and Europe. There's a lot with the history between the UK and the Low Countries, so to speak, and also in Central Europe. We're talking about millennia worth of history. I don't know. I'm a little concerned, guys. I'm just not liking it. I don't know where we're going to go with this. I think Trump is biting off a lot more than he can chew at this particular time. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. How are you going to get all this done? You got a lot of domestic stuff that he's doing. Matter of fact, I saw something. I guess they're offering buyouts to a bunch of CIA employees. I don't know what that's all about. I think the last thing you do is reduce the size of the CIA is maybe not a good thing. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think, guys. But I'm concerned because I'm just seeing a lot of stuff just being thrown out there, and some of these ideas exactly aren't lining up. Hope for the best, but somewhat fear for the worst. Not as in scared, but concerned. LD, yeah. Yeah, I saw that, LD. Yeah. It's the move fast and break things approach. Yeah, that's not exactly very good, is it, Farrell? Ugh. I'm afraid that Trump is going to alienate more people than he's going to try to bring on his side. You know what I'm saying, guys? You got to be able. This isn't about running a real estate business. Look, I understand in that business, it's cutthroat. I get it. I understand it. But when you're dealing with sovereign nations, it's a little bit different. And the last thing you want to do is make more enemies than friends. Not at this particular time, guys. You can't. Look, and I don't know if Trump thinks that this is 2016. I don't know if he even thinks it's 2021, the last year he was in office in his first term. This world is vastly different than it was when he was president the first time. 2025 is not the same world as it was in 2021, let alone 2026 when he first came into office. It's just, it's a little, the world's a lot more dangerous place than it was. Ah, man, it's going to be interesting. Trump is winging it, as always. He's putting his personal interests over the nation's. He's a bum, in my opinion. Hey, I can understand that. I can understand that. Yes, he's running it like a company. Correct. Government cannot be run like a company. Unfortunately, you just can't. Government is not run that way. It just isn't. Look, you could try to make it as efficient as possible, but the government isn't made to do efficient things. It just isn't. Ah, man, dude. It's yeah, the Doja. I don't know what the hell it is. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Oh. Ah. This is tough. Hold on. Let me find something here. There's a guy that I follow on here. He's pretty good. He even had some interesting things to say. I was interested in what he said here. Let me go back. Where did it go? It started up here. This guy's pretty good. Defender. I like following him. He's pretty good. He's a news aggregator. So he pulls news from a whole bunch of different sources, and then he posts it on Twitter. It's pretty good. He's pretty good. Again, Defender. He's got about, 1.3 million followers. Open source intelligence monitor focused on Europe and conflicts across the world. It's pretty good. He goes on to say, if you actually think anything said tonight about Gaza is practical or a good idea, you are totally and utterly brain dead. It is crazy to see how many people will switch from withdraw all of our troops from the Middle East and end the forever wars to, let's go pay trillions and sacrifice thousands of service members in order to take control and occupy the Gaza Strip, something which will easily take 10 to 15 years. This has been a clear issue recently with us on the right and those on the left, of people just agreeing with every single thing that is said by a certain politician or group. Learn to have your own opinions and beliefs. Stand by those beliefs. If Trump says something that you are, as a conservative, don't believe in, or if a Democratic politician says something that you as a liberal don't believe in, it is your responsibility as a voter and as an American to call that out. Not just agree with it because you are on that side. The amount of hypocrisy that I've seen tonight by those on the right who are claiming they agree with what President Trump said about Gaza is staggering and truly insane. This is his opinion, not mine. He's not far off, though. I guarantee you that if Biden had said these things, exact same things, those same people would be losing their minds, calling him a warmonger and a globalist and every other thing under the sun. All that I am asking is that you have a belief and stand by that belief. This is a news aggregation account, and it is rare that I make a full post like this. This will likely be my only political/opinion post for the foreseeable future, but this is not something I could be silent about, especially as a conservative who voted for Trump. There you go. Oh, that Afghanistan pullout was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. But you know where it began, right? You know where that pullout actually began. It began under Trump in his first term, but it was an absolute disaster under Biden. What do we got here? What do we got here? What are you guys talking about? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Wait. Again, guys, this is just, I'm not overly excited about what's going on, specifically with foreign affairs, guys. I'm not even getting into the domestic stuff. I'm talking specifically about what's going on here. This concept of his is absolutely ridiculous. Farrell, you are correct. Trump wanted to invite the Taliban to Camp David. I remember that in his first term. Again, I think what it is Trump just thinks he can negotiate with everybody, and you can't. Some people you just can't negotiate with. It's impossible. Some are. Now, is it wrong to talk? No, it's not at all. But to go out there and make these grandiose statements in front of a camera just because you want your mug on the TV is a totally different story altogether. You got to be prudent. You got to listen to your advisors as well. Granted, the buck stops with him. I understand that. But you can't have a bunch of yes men around. And you got to be able to hear other voices in the room. It's dealing with world leaders and dealing with foreign affairs is not the same as running your business. Correct. And that there was a lot of that in his first term. There's a lot of unknown. Okay. In his first term. Okay. Now, let's see what happens here in the second term. Do you think China don't understand who they're dealing with in Trump? Do you not think Vladimir Putin doesn't understand who they're dealing with in Donald Trump? They know exactly who this guy is. They know his weaknesses. Trust me, they know his weaknesses. And they will take advantage of said weaknesses. 100% they will. Yeah, and Trump's not worried about re-election. That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole January 6th. That's domestic stuff. I'm not going to even get into that. I'm just sticking on military and foreign affairs stuff. But that's a great point, LD. He's got nothing to lose. What is going on now? Okay, that's nothing big. Yeah. Tom, I don't like to get into politics in a public forum, but this is getting ridiculous. It's okay. Hey, it's a place to kind of get it off your chest. I'm not going to judge. I'm part of the politically homeless in the U.S. that can't believe what's going on. I know exactly what you're talking about, Tom. No, a roundtable. Don't confuse. I see what you're talking about. I understand what you're saying. I understand. But the thing is, can't there be an alternative? Does it have to be an unpredictable person such as Trump? Does it have to be the crazy radical left? No. Can it be somewhere in the middle? But I get it. Yeah, those are the only two choices. I understand that. And that's the sad thing about this whole situation, right, Roundtable? That's the part that is the most frustrating, is because you want somebody that's going to be somewhat in the middle, right? But it's almost impossible to find today. Doesn't mean there's not going to be someone in the future that's going to do a terrific job. I'm not saying that. But at this particular time, it's pretty damn divided. And the way it looks to me, it's he's definitely not a unifier. Trump is not a unifier. President Biden was not a unifier. And we are just as divided as we were, we're just as divided today here on February 1st or 4th as we were on December or January 19th when Biden was still in office. Senior, I think it's a very safe forum to speak up and bounce ideas off each other. It's a very confusing time. I agree. LD, as a proponent of personal freedom, the Constitution, smaller government, less regulations and taxes, pro Second Amendment, I feel concerned. There you go. You know, you're harking to the back of the days of when the country is being first founded, right? And that's something that I really enjoy. Matter of fact, guys, I'm reading a book about Adam Smith. For those of you who know who Adam Smith is, I know Graham knows who Adam Smith is, but read some of the authors during the Enlightenment, and it's very refreshing. LD, I don't know if you have, but if I suggest go read some of the stuff from back in the Enlightenment. Talking 18th century here. It's good stuff. It gives you a little bit of hope. But then you look at what's going on today, and it's like, man, it's kind of hard to see that. And here's another thing. The overuse of these executive orders, man, that's getting I don't care whether you read stuff about Adam Smith. Of course, you got Locke out there, Hutchinson, Francis Hutchinson. Who am I thinking of? Montesquieu. I like Montesquieu. But look a lot of this. Just look up an Enlightenment, man. There's a lot of good stuff. Again, that's where you started. During that time, because it was back in the UK where a lot of that was taking place. Scotland and the UK, talking about constitutional monarchies, kind of almost a little bit of what we got going on here in the United States. But oh, brother, dude, I've been saying that for a long time. Go Progate. Yes, sir. David Hume. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you, Graham. David Hume's another good one. David Hume, Francis Hutchinson, Adam Smith. How come I can't think of the first name of Locke? But yeah, but going back to this, I've said this a lot. It looks like a catalyst event will have to bring the country back together. Yeah, you might be right. Go, and that's sad, isn't it? Isn't it sad that it will take some kind of catastrophe to occur to bring people together? And it's just that's dumb. We're all smart enough, right? Aren't we all smart enough to figure out what the hell's going on in the world? And hey, maybe we need to go about this in a different way. It's not like we're freaking in the dark ages. It's not like look. The access to information is greater than it has. And how can we not learn? That's the most frustrating thing. I mean, dude, look, back when I was going to grade school in the freaking 80s, you had to go to a library to find out information. Today, everything's literally at your fingertips. Go out there and read. And you could see, holy crap, this is something that I didn't even think of. It's crazy. I mean, again, the information available is it's out there. and people need to take advantage of it. And that's why I love history. It gives you a nice roadmap. Doesn't mean you can dictate the future, but you could see where it didn't work. John Locke, thank you, Graham. And yes, Roundtable, there is an issue with that. There's no doubt about it. That's using your power to your advantage, and that shouldn't be happening. 100%. And that is true, Aaron, to an extent. Yes. But I think, Aaron, I would even say I would pin it more on social media more than even the news these days. The social media, woo, that's the beauty. Okay, the internet is a beautiful thing. You could go, as I said, you could go out there. There are so much things that are digitized that you could go out there and read. It's absolutely incredible. You can find out so much information from your living room. But when you get on social media, that's where you got to be very careful. If you don't have your wits about you and you get on social media, that shit will eat you up, chew you up, and spit you out, man. You got to be careful. Just because a celebrity of some sort says something doesn't mean it's true. Taxation is theft, particularly without proper representation. Yeah. There is, in my honest opinion, way too much info out there for the vast majority. You got a point there, Graham. To a certain extent. Jay Farrell. Interesting. Again, where is this all going to lead? I don't know. I know one thing. Trump is not making friends with Saudi Arabia. He's not making friends with the other countries in the Middle East. He thinks that they could just hand off Palestinians to wherever. Look, I don't know. There is so much. I'll keep it generic. There's so much history in that region. To arbitrarily say that the Palestinians just need to get up and go somewhere else, you got to be careful in doing that. Because you're affecting a region that you're not going to have anything really to do with other than try to make a real estate freaking boon. You gotta work with people in that region. You just can't come in there and say, I'm just taking over this part of land and do what I want with it. And the rest of the people just got to go. It's not how it works, man. Look, is there issues with Hamas and Hezbollah? Absolutely. Israel has taken care of quite a bit of them. Do they still exist? Absolutely. Are they still a danger? Yes. And then you want to go put American troops on the ground in the Middle East, and you think that's a good idea? Man, dude, who is talking to you, President Trump? Please, man. If you want to help rebuild that region, I get it. I understand it. But it's not meant for your, or even say for the United States enrichment. It's not to get rich off the suffering of others. That's just not how it should work. Ah, man. And to be honest with you, I don't think even Netanyahu. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Tom. Yeah. A guy who wanted to pull everybody out is now wanting to put troops back in. All right, guys. I think I've had enough for tonight. I just had to get this off my chest. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys all hanging out, just bouncing it off. Give me a follow, Master History 23. I'm always on Twitter. I usually retweet a lot of stuff. The last couple of days, I've been actually tweeting stuff concerning the taxation and all that stuff. Thanks, Roundtable. Appreciate it, man. Again, guys, make sure you subscribe, like. I try to do once a week, usually maybe every other week, somewhere on there when big stuff are going on. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And let's see what happens. Guys, again, just keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears on the lookout just to see what's going on. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. Anyways, guys, we'll see you on the next one. You guys be nice. Be good to each other. See ya.